Gurur Vishnur Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Padashritanancha Samastachauram Shri Radhikayam Hridayasya Chauram Nilambujasyamala Kanti Chauram Chauragraganyam Purusham Namami. Aho Chitram Aho Chitram Vande Tat Prema Bandhanam Yad Baddham Muktidam Muktam Brahma Krida Bhrigi Kritam Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tagvangha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Dear devotees, please join me in a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan. After that, we'll continue this intensive with some philosophy on how to get the most out of the program. Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
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 Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda
राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद 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 गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद 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 गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद 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 गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद 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 गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे
Govind Govind Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govind Govind Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govind Govind Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govind Govind Radhe
बरसाने वारी की
Jai
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Welcome to the Summer Sadhana Shivir here at Radha Madhav Dham. We're all so lucky to be here, and I also am grateful to have so many satsangis here. I also get inspiration to do more sadhana and seva by having all of you here. The question is always, or the thing that we need to focus on initially as well as throughout, is why are we here and how do we get what we came here? What did we come here to accomplish, and how do we do that while we're here? One of Shri Maharaj's favorite shloks, whenever he quoted this one, or often when he would quote this, he would mention that of all the shloks in the Bhagavatam, this is his favorite. Bhayam dvitiya bhiniveshatah sya dishadape tasya viparyayo smriti tanmayaya to buddha abhajetam bhaktyayikayesham gurudevatatma. The shlok contains a lot of important philosophy. It starts by saying that our mind is troubled by or afflicted by a wrong understanding, an opposite understanding. It's called viparyaya, bandho viparyayat. Sankhya Darshan also uses this word, viparya. Viparya means the truth is one thing and we understand something exactly opposite. You all know what that truth is. I am the body is what we understand, and I am the soul is the truth. As soon as we forget the truth, although it never happened, we have eternally been in this state of forgetfulness. But in our language, in our limited way of saying things, we say, as soon as we forget the truth that I am the soul, we believe ourselves to be this body. Then what happens? We direct all of our search for happiness towards this world. Now, why did we believe ourselves to be the body and not understand ourselves to be the soul? Due to the effect of Maya. And when did Maya take effect, start influencing our mind? Since we turned away from God. And when did we turn away from God? We never turned away from God. We have always been turned away from God. This is a very difficult thing to grasp. In fact, we can say it's one of those things in a limited Mayic mind, we can never fully grasp that concept of eternity. We never had a beginning. There was never a first birth for us. Can you imagine that in your mind? No, because our mind is conditioned to think of things with a beginning and an end. We think in a linear fashion. That's what our mind does. And it can't completely understand, I never began. If I keep going back in time, I never get to the beginning point. There was never a first birth. I never had a clean slate. No, you always had unlimited karma hanging over your head, sanchit karma. Why? That's not fair. No, it is, because you had unlimited past lifetimes to develop or create that unlimited sanchit karma. Yeah, but there must have been a beginning somewhere. I mean, God must have created us sometime. No, God didn't create us. And God didn't put Maya after us. We have been here. You can say this is who we are since eternity. Jivatma under the bondage of Maya. This is who we have been since eternity. We've never been free from Maya. We were never subjected to the influence of Maya. We have always been under the influence of Maya. Thus, we have always forgotten our true identity. It never happened. We have always been in this state of forgetfulness we call viparya. The root of the problem is we're turned away from God. And because of that, it's a cascading effect of problems. We're eternally vimukh from Bhagwan. Therefore, Maya is able to influence us. Therefore, due to the influence of Maya, we forget our true identity as a divine soul, as Ansh of Shri Krishna, as Das of Shri Krishna. Therefore, we direct our search for happiness towards worldly attainments. Because we believe I'm the body, we believe I'm a Mayic being, therefore we quite naturally believe that Mayic things will fulfill the inner need for perfect happiness that we all have. And because of that, we do uncountable actions, karma, which binds us. And this leads to life after life. And in the process, we're developing attachments to all the people and things that we identify as hopeful sources of happiness. Of course, it never pans out the way we hope it would. But nonetheless, we do chintan of them and we develop attachment. And this leads to more suffering because then desires automatically arise for the people and things we have attachments to. And those desires lead to either further greed for those things if we're lucky enough to enjoy them, or anger and frustration if we don't get the thing we want. So you see, it's just a whole cascading mess of problems. Because of one thing, we're turned away from God. And it is the mind that is turned away. This is why our scriptures say, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. Ved. Bhagavatam also says, Chetah khalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam. The mind alone is responsible for our bondage in Maya or our release from that bondage. Because it is the mind that is vimukh from Bhagwan, and it is the mind that has to become sanmukh to Shri Krishna. Thus, we have all come here to progress in this process of gradually becoming sanmukh. This is why we are here. And the only thing that matters while we are here is where is our mind. This is why we have such shivirs. Because we know living in the world is difficult. It's difficult to spend a major portion of any one day thinking of God and Guru. The incremental progress that you make while living in the world it requires great effort on your part. Nonetheless, with the grace of God and Guru, you still progress, even though you're living in the world. But when you come to any intensive, that's when you get a chance to make speedy progress. When you're here, there's no pressure to deal with this worldly thing. No complication of I have to juggle all these things and still find time for devotion. When you're here, it's devotion, devotion, devotion. The question is just what style of devotion? Are you doing seva? Are you doing sadhana? Are you doing Radhe breathing while walking to the dining hall or while eating? Are you doing arti? It's just different ways of doing devotion, which means different ways of gradually turning the mind towards God. It is urgent for us. If you really think about it, we don't know, this could be our last sadhana shivir on this earth, right? Any one of us sitting here of any age could leave our body at any time. So what do we want to do? How do we want to spend the remaining time? Shri Kripalu Maharaj always reminds us that any day could be our last day. So let us think about this shivir could be any one of our last shivirs before we go on to the next life. How much progress we could make in 1 week or 2 weeks, however long you're spending here. The progress we could make is exponentially more than what we can make on an average day in our life. All of our scriptures tell us that bhakti should be nirantar. Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yogina Gita. Shri Krishna says, Arjun, I am easily attainable. Sulabhaha. I am easily attainable by the one who keeps their mind in me all the time. And he said it 3 times in this one shlok. Ananya cheta. Ananya means only one. Only God and Guru. Satatam. All the time. Unbroken remembrance. Smarati nityashaha. Again, nitya. All the time. And nitya yuktasya yogina, again, nitya. 3 times in one shlok, plus the word ananya, really 4 times. Krishna is saying, remember me all the time. When we're here, we actually have a chance of doing that. In the world, it takes time to reach that level where someone would naturally, without too much trouble, be able to remember God and Guru throughout the entire day without any break. It takes many years of devotion to reach that point. Of course, we all strive for that. But when we're here in the ashram, actually, we have no excuse. We have every opportunity to remember God and Guru 24 hours a day. So that is what we're here to do. We design the schedules to give our mind just enough variety, just enough variation throughout the day, so that it won't feel too afraid of the sadhana program, that, oh, that's too tough for me. But at the same time, it's being engaged in some form of devotional activity throughout the whole day, whether it's arti or sitting and doing kirtan, which of course means doing rup dhyan. The mind doesn't turn towards Radha Krishna by singing from the mouth. That helps turn the mind, but it's the rup dhyan that is essential. So whether we're doing that or we're doing seva, or during our free time, we're speaking less interacting less with people so that we can be in our own thoughts and foster the feelings that we gained during the sadhana sessions that we have here in the hall, and take that feeling we get from it, foster it in our heart by doing Radhe breathing. Ra on the inhalation, De on the exhalation. Then we grow what we got in the sadhana session. And we come for the next session further ahead than we left the last session. Whatever it may be, throughout the day we have these different ways of keeping our mind in God and Guru. Bade bhagya manush tanu pava sur durlabh sadgranthani gava. Ramayana says devtas like Indra, these great Mayak personalities, they desire the opportunity to be born in a human body like we have received. Why? Because durlabham trayamevai taddaivanugrahakarakam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha sambhava. Because only when you receive a human birth do you have the chance to attain God. And in order to do that, you also need the association of a God-realized saint. We have received all of that. What those devtas in Swarg pine for when they're over there enjoying Mayak pleasures that exceed the pleasures of earth by millions of times. What are they thinking? They're pining for the chance to get a human birth so they could pursue God realization with the grace and guidance of a true God-realized saint. So Shankaracharya says in this shloka I just quoted that 3 things are most rare: getting a human birth, having true, sincere desire to attain God, and number 3, getting the association of a true saint. We've received all of that. Nridehamadhyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam mayanukulena nabhasvateritam puman bhavabdhim nataretsa atmaha. Bhagavatam. Shri Krishna is telling Uddhav that this human body is like a strong boat that can take a soul across the ocean of cosmic existence. It is a worthy vessel to take you to God. And, however, there's one more requirement. You need to have the true Guru as the helmsman, holding the rudder, steering the ship in the right direction. Shri Krishna says you already have the wind of my grace in your sails. So you have everything, and having attained all of this, if someone fails to realize their goal in this life, then Jo natarai bhavasagar nar samaj asapai Sokrit nindak mandamati atamahan gati jai. Tulsidas Ji says the same thing, gives the same message, that this person might as well be the killer of their own self, because they have squandered the only thing that every jeev is waiting for. You got a human birth. You have good sanskars from past lifetimes giving you that inclination towards God, and you've received the association of a true guru. Having received all of this, if you don't realize your goal in this lifetime, then it's a disaster. It's an all-out overall disaster. And who knows, because who knows when this chance will come again. All the souls on earth are waiting for this chance. Infinite, not infinite on this earth planet, but infinite souls in existence, and certainly uncountable on this earth planet, all waiting for a chance to be born as humans. And here we are sitting in the ashram of Jagadguru Shree Kripalu Maharaj, the supreme acharya of this age, the supreme Jagadguru. And we have his direct association. This is his dham. He is with each and every devotee physically, all the time, everywhere, no matter where you are in this whole world. And having come here to Radha Madhav Dham, you have a greater, this environment supports the remembrance, so that every second our mind can be moving towards getting more attached to God and Guru, getting more sanmukh towards God and Guru, and closer to our goal. I would say if there's one single thing we can do during this Shivir to get the most benefit, if you just remember one thing, always feel Shri Maharaj Ji is with you. Because it's a fact, he is. He is not just in, we feel, oh yes, Guru's watching over me. No, he's physically with you. Even if you never physically met him in this life, he's physically with you now. He's not gone back to his divine abode. He's here with us now. There's no difference from the time when you could see him, you could go to Mangar, or he came here and visited us here in America. There's no difference in his physical presence. There's no difference in the way we can receive his grace. There's no difference for a new person coming to this path, as if Maharaji was sitting in the sitting room and we brought new people back there to meet Maharaji for the first time. Maharaji, this person watches your lectures on TV Asia, and introduce them, and they get to meet Maharaji for the first time, and then they feel Maharaji's my Guru. That doesn't have to change. It hasn't changed. People are still, even though we can't see Maharaji, if we do enough devotion and become qualified, any one of us here can, Maharaji will come to us when that time is right. But practically speaking, there's no difference. We can truly feel Maharaji's sitting back in his room over here, just like we used to sit and do sadhana and wait for Maharaji to come out. How is it any different? He's sitting in his room right now. Or you can feel he's already come out and he's sitting amongst us, or he's sitting next to you. So this is the number one thing of all the things we can try to implement during this sadhana shivir. Remember that he's with you. Feel he's with you. When you're doing seva, feel that you want to lovingly offer this, humbly offer this seva to Maharaji, and he's with you while you're doing that. When you're doing sadhana, do Rup Dhyan of Shri Maharaji. Feel that he's happy when you're doing Rup Dhyan of him or of Radha Krishna. Then we'll get that feeling that he's with us, that connection, that he's mine, that will become more and more and more real for us. Then the depth of the experience of being here in the sadhana shivir starts to take on a whole other way of realizing what devotion is and what our relationship with God and Guru are. It's a very real thing, and it becomes more real, more intense, the more we practice sadhana in this way. So we're all here to do this together. Our having come together inspires all of us, makes all of us feel accountable to each other. Oh, I can't be late for this session. Everybody else is going on time. I can't miss this session. Others will notice he didn't show up, she didn't show up. So we feel that accountability to each other. It's good that we feel that. That's positive peer pressure, right? So we should take this sadhana shivir seriously in this way. That shlok that I started with from Bhagavatam says, wholeheartedly, without any chal, kapat, just dedicate your mind through bhakti, knowing that Guru Deva Tatma, Guru is the soul of your soul. So let us take this time seriously, although we want to be relaxed, but at the same time, we want this to be like school, right? You don't give yourself permission to skip school just because you don't feel like it. Here sometimes we say, oh, you know, I don't want to pressure my mind too much. My mind doesn't feel like going to this session right now. It's okay. I don't want to pressure my mind. Give it some space. It may revolt. Does it revolt when you go to work every day, 5 days a week, even though it doesn't want to? Oh, you go. You survive. You make it. You don't go insane. Kids go to school every day. However much some of them may despise it, they still go to school every day. They control their mind, right? So we should control our mind when we're here, not let our mind take the easy way out. Oh, I don't feel like going to this session. No, this is school. This is school for devotion, for sadhana. Let us encourage each other in that way. We'll be doing the Atma Nirikshan as we have the last few camps, because people have commented that helps them maintain their focus and stay serious about the sadhana. We have the attendance trackers in there where you can note down which sessions you attended, which ones you were late for, or which ones you were doing seva during, which also is fine. So the Atma Nirikshan gives us a chance to reflect upon how we made use of this day, where we can improve on going forward. And of course, this is one of the main tools that Sri Maharaj Ji taught us to make use of in our daily life as well. So we want to let this become a habit for us. Maharaj Ji said we should do Atma Nirikshan every day for a couple of minutes before sleeping. So here we're doing it for 10-15 minutes, so we get some good practice in, and hopefully you'll take this habit with you back into the world as well. Everyone of all ages has come to participate in this camp. We should keep in mind it's not a family camp. This is, for the last couple of years throughout COVID, our programs have evolved a little bit, and we've decided that we will provide family camp type of programming during the winter camps going forward. But the summer is going to remain as a sadhana shivir only, with no parallel program, only sadhana shivir for the whole 2 weeks going forward. People of all ages, devotees of all ages, of course, are invited to come, but they come with the understanding that it's not the same family camp type of environment. It's a sadhana shivir. So I know that everyone of all ages who has joined us came with this understanding, and they came with a desire to participate fully in the sadhana shivir. So we should keep that in mind, that this is a serious sadhana shivir, and all of us should be mindful of how our behavior affects people around us. We want to be happy, friendly, not too serious. We want to be friendly, but we also don't want to put too much emphasis on the social aspect, the interacting aspect. That's not why we're here. Use your time to do seva. Use your time to remember God and Guru. When we're engaged in an unnecessary conversation, whether it's a parent or a teenager or a middle schooler, anyone, we can think, "Mujhe kya mil raha hai isse? Is my devotion progressing through this? When I'm in the world, theek hai. I mean, maybe there's more necessity to have these kinds of conversations, but here, give yourself permission not to have them. And in fact, if anybody wants, you can take one of the badges from the front desk that says, I'm observing silence. If you want to do that for one day or a couple days or the whole time you're here, that's fine as well. You're invited to do that. And even though this isn't a silent intensive, so everyone won't be observing silence, if anyone here wishes to observe silence, you can wear that badge and others will recognize that you're following that discipline and they won't talk to you. Or if they do, you can show them the badge and you can communicate by writing or typing or something like that. So in this way, we can get the most benefit from this sadhana shivir by keeping these things in mind and supporting each other by keeping in mind that our presence, our behavior affects everyone around us. When we're positive and devotional, then that's going to influence those around us. And if we're having any kind of negative behavior, it's going to have the same effect. So we can keep all of these things in mind and get the most benefit and make Maharajji happy during this sadhana shivir. So let us spend a few minutes doing some kirtan and rup dhyan, and after that we'll be getting a little more technical orientation to the next 2 weeks program. Radhe Govinda Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
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 Radhe Radhe 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 Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda.
Radhe Govinda Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda.
Oh, Radhe Radhe Govinda.
Radhe Radhe Govinda.
Oh, Radhe Radhe Govinda.
Radhe Radhe Govinda.
Radhe Govinda Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda.
Radhe Govinda Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda.
Bolo Ladli Lal Ki. Before we continue with Maharajji's special video that we'll be having every evening at 8:30, followed by Atma Nirikshan and more Kirtan, I'll invite Chirag Bhaiya to come and give some more orientation. There's a couple other things I want to mention along those same lines. One is that we have an 11 p.m. curfew, most of you are familiar with. So that means by 11 p.m. You should shut things down, be in your room. There shouldn't be hanging